Dr. Jazz.
Yes, 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 again.
Dr.
I love the
Jazz.
shirt. I mean the hoodie.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so that's for Roy.
We're
Where
gonna
are
get there. We're gonna get to that subject.
Okay. Where
Yeah,
are you?
I'm in Slovenia, Europe.
Ah, okay.
You ever
Cool.
played here or?
No, I
Okay.
spent a lot of time in Italy.
Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah. My
Yeah,
wife is from Italy. She's from Naples.
really? Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. And you eat well, so that's good.
I do eat well. Yeah.
That's important. But thanks for finding the time. Appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me.
You know, I have you on so many records, and then I heard the last one, the Life at Dizzy's, and I was like, shit, I have to drop you a line just that we uh,
Uh,
include you on the roster of the talks I've done. So, you know,
thank you. Thank
so
you.
thank
Is
you.
this
So,
live?
sorry?
Is this live right now
No,
or
no, we're gonna, I usually like leave it in whole. I just cut the beginning and the end,
okay.
but I leave it like it's gonna be broadcast. I mean, go online like in 2, 3 or 3 months or something like that. So,
Okay.
just that you
Cool.
know. So even if something happens in between, I can cut it or, but
Right, right.
usually it's
Okay.
like a free improv gig that
Ah,
we
okay.
just let it flow. But
Nice.
Gerald, I will just jump in. I wanted to ask you about this last record, Life at Dizzy's, and
Mhm.
obviously you had a long story with Elvin and McCoy, and this is kind of dedicated to the music of both of those guys. Like, what was the story behind the project? How come you decided to do this now? And
Well, I have been planning on it, for a while, but I wanted to wait, to kind of reflect on my time with both of them and to present something really, you know, with the spirit of my time with them. That's why everybody pretty much in the band has either played with Elvin or
yeah,
McCoy or both. Yeah. So and I learned so much from both of Elvin and McCoy. My time with 9 years with Elvin and I think 14 years with McCoy.
wow,
So
okay,
it's a lot of history there. You know.
yeah. Like,
Yeah.
how did you get those gigs? I mean, with Elvin and McCoy, how did those happen?
Well, with Elvin, let me see. I had left Roy Hargrove's band, and I was gigging around with different people, keeping busy. And a friend of mine, a great piano player, Eric Lewis,
Hmm.
um, said, "Hey, man, I put your name in for Elvin's gig, man," and you know, and I got the call from Elvin's wife, and there it is. No rehearsals. I think I got the call maybe 3 days before I started playing with him when
Oh,
our
wow.
first gig was at the Blue Note in New York for a week.
How was that
And
like?
oh, it was fantastic. Uh, yeah, it's like a dream come true. I mean, it took me like probably a year to stop pinching myself. Every time I looked over the drums, like that's really Elvin Jones sitting there. Wow. But no, it was great. I did the first few nights with Elvin, and I had knew the music. I'd seen him many times,
Yeah.
and I did get a chance to get together with Eric Lewis and just run through very briefly the stuff. And by the end of the week, Elvin said, "I want you to come to my dressing room on Sunday. After the gig, we're having a little party." So I was like, "Okay, of course," and I go in there, and he welcomed me to the jazz machine.
Ooh,
He had a cake and stuff, and
amazing.
I felt pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. How was he like as a band leader to you guys? I mean, because he always had obviously younger musicians than in the band and
Right. Yeah, he was great. Like I said, I really learned a lot, and I was in my 40s, I think,
already. Yeah.
in the gig, late 30s, early 40s, and I played with a lot of you know, great musicians at that point, but I really learned to stand on my own 2 feet playing with Elvin, and because he was depending on me to keep things centered and grounded, you know, which is easier said than done
Oh
with
yeah,
him.
yeah, sure.
You know, I mean, there were a lot of times I was like, oh boy, you know, my eyes were closed because I was too scared to open them, you know. But no, it was like one of the greatest experiences I ever had.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it's it's funny because you know you check the records. I mean, Coltrane or whatever, like, and he's on those records, and then you're playing bass,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
basically
I'm fortunate. I played
with you played with one
oh,
half of the quartet, so basically, so
right. I think I'm one of the few bass players that I've played with. At least that's what they say. I don't know, but that's played for any substantial length of time with Coltrane's drummer and pianist.
pianist. Yeah, I don't recall anyone. I mean,
Yeah,
Avery Sharp. I don't think he played with
he didn't play with Elvin.
Elvin. No, and yeah, yeah, probably true. Yeah, probably
Yeah,
true. Yeah. And what about McCoy, on the other hand? How did that one? Because with McCoy you played even longer, right?
yeah, I played with Longer. You know, I had well, Elvin had passed, and so I was once again freelancing, gigging around, and I think it was Steve Toure
Mm,
was the first guy to call and tell me, say, "Hey, McCoy's looking for you." You know, and I was like, "No, that's Charnette's gig." You know, Charnette Moffett was
yeah.
playing with him. He goes, "No, I you know, I think I gave him your number." Then somebody else said, "Hey, McCoy's looking for you." I was like, "Hmm." Sure enough, a few weeks later, I get a phone call from McCoy's manager. And he was like, "Yeah, McCoy wants to know if you're available for these dates." And I didn't even look at my schedule. I said, "Yes, I'm available." And yeah, his name was Adam Hertz. That was McCoy's manager at the time. And he said, "Okay, well, I'm going to call McCoy back, and then we're going to have a three-way call." And I was like, "Okay." And so, in between waiting for the call, I was kind of a nervous wreck, but McCoy called back and he said, "Hey, how you doing, buddy?" And I was like, "Hey, Mr. Tyner," And he said to me, he really pretty much only said, "Yeah, Adam says you're available for these dates, and yeah, and I heard you play with Elvin." And I said, "Yes, sir. I played with him for 9 years." He goes, "That's good enough for me. Okay, talk to my manager."
Wow.
That
Okay.
was it. You know,
Wow.
no rehearsals once again.
Gig straight. Yeah.
First gig, boom. You know,
Oh, that's
uh,
amazing. That's how these older generation did it, right?
yeah,
Basically.
yeah. You either better had known their music or
Yeah.
be able to get to it quick. You
Yeah.
know, use your ears or whatever. Pray. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I've heard stories about Freddie Hubbard and all these guys who obviously
Mhm.
didn't have even set lists and stuff. So it was just like,
Yeah.
"Ta-da, ta-da, okay, shit, what is that?" Like, okay,
Right.
let's catch it. That's incredible.
Yeah, I played with them twice, 2 or 3 times, and yeah, no rehearsals. Just bam, right in there. I kind of like it like that.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
it's funny because nowadays everyone wants to like really get their
Yeah,
stuff together, and the older guys were really like, okay, check,
yeah, let's go.
let's play, and
You'll figure it out, or you won't.
or you won't, yeah. But everyone was prepared because of respect, I think, and everything, right? So
Right,
it's
right. Yeah, I mean, as you can see, I have all these records behind me, so I've been listening to these guys since I was a kid. My mother gave me my first Coltrane record, which was Africa Brass,
mm.
and I was 13 years old,
Oh
you
wow,
know. So I've been listening to, you know, Elvin and McCoy throughout my whole life, pretty
mm.
much.
Did you immediately start playing bass, or started with cello, or
No, I started playing electric bass when I was 10 with
ah,
my father and his gospel quartet. I played in
oh,
church from 10 till I was 18. That's the only
oh,
place I was allowed to play. My father was a deacon and he had a gospel quartet. made up of my uncles and a few other people, and we traveled around the Midwestern United States and played in different churches pretty much every Sunday.
Wow,
You know,
that's a good school.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So there you go.
How did you know that you want to play jazz? So, was there like a turning point that you said like, oh, I really want to do that, or?
Well, I pretty much always wanted to play upright bass. You know, there was like three records that my father played pretty much every Friday. One was Midnight Blue,
Hmm.
Kenny Burrell,
Oh man.
with Major Holly on bass. And the other one was Jesus, now I can't think. Jimmy McGriff the Worm,
Okay. Okay.
and also there was one more. He really liked Nat King Cole.
Oh
So
man, with Oscar Moore on guitar, I love the trio.
right.
Woo,
So and
amazing.
he was a major Kenny Burrell fan. So, I pretty much listened to it. But when I was a kid, we used to watch this television show called The Merv Griffin Show. And Ray Brown was the musical director
Mhm.
for that TV show. So I watched that came on every day at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so it was always Ray Brown, And I always was just enamored with the bass, with the upright bass. And so I kind of drifted into that. And I'm a painter, I'm a visual artist.
Oh really? Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Amazing.
my other thing that I've been doing since I was a kid as well. So when I was in high school, I was in my art class, and they brought in an upright bass as a model to paint, for us to. And so I quickly did the painting, and when the class was over, I just grabbed it and started playing. It's like, oh man, this is great! I want one of these days, And there it is,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's something about this instrument, yeah. The vibration and everything. It's like with guitar the
yeah,
same. You feel it against your body and
exactly.
it's a nice thing,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you know. Yeah, I mean, it's the best instrument made, the upright bass. Nothing better. I tell my students, there's nothing better than the bass. So, you
Mm,
know, yeah.
yeah. When did you then move to New York? When was that?
I moved to New York. I think I was 28, 29. I was going to the Wisconsin Conservatory of Music, and I started working pretty soon in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which at that time had a really big jazz community.
Oh, really? Oh, well.
Yeah. And I mean, Brian Lynch is from there, David Hazeltine,
Oh,
Carl
yeah.
Allen, and
Exactly.
yeah, we all went to school together, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so when I got accepted there, I didn't even have an upright bass. I had an electric bass, And soon after that, my father bought me my first upright, and I studied, practice. And then I started working with a singer who was she was like the Betty Carter of
Mm.
Wisconsin. She was, and 6 nights a week at a hotel, at the top of this
Oh,
big
man.
old hotel, and she sang nothing but standards. And so I kind of got thrown. It's kind of like baptism by fire. I was
That's the
kind of
best.
thrown
Yep.
into like I didn't really even know how to hold an upright. I mean, I had studied upright, but I didn't really know what I was doing. So, yeah. So
Wow.
then I actually Eddie Allen uh, said, "Hey, I'm going to drive back to New York." He had been living in New York, and why don't you ride with me? I said, "Okay." So I rode with him, and man, I remember as soon as I stepped foot in Manhattan, I just knew this was you know, man, this is the place to be.
There is something about it, yeah.
Yeah. And as a kid, I always wanted to live in New York. I read this book when I was about 13 called The Lords of Flatbush. It's about some gang in Brooklyn, but I just fascinated by the, you know, fact that everybody lived in apartments, you know. We lived in houses where I'm from,
Sure.
And I always thought, man, it'd be cool to live in an apartment building. Your buddy's right next door to you, stuff like that. Plus the energy, of New York City.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it
So
hard for you in the beginning when you moved there? I mean, or did you immediately start playing gigs? Or
no, no, it's, as pretty much everybody who comes to New York, it's kind of like you have a 2 to 3 year period before you kind of like get on. Um, no, when I got here, no, I was rough,
mm,
period. I mean, I started playing in the street. Well, first of all, I started hitting the jam sessions, because
that's
there were
important. Yeah.
very few people who knew who I was. And sometimes they would let me play, sometimes they wouldn't. And I landed the gig at the After Hours Band gig at the Blue Note, and that helped a lot. I think that was in my second or third year.
Mm,
But before that, I was playing in the subways, on the street, all of the normal stuff that we used to do,
yeah.
which was a lot of fun. It really was. It was hard, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, and I never, funny, I never really thought about it being hard. I was just like amazed because where I'm from, there's a small jazz community. But like to be in New York where it's like, you know, the place to be.
Yeah.
It was just so much fun. And a lot of my friends that we all were playing on the street and hustling and doing whatever we had to do to survive and stuff. And, you know, and the ones that are still around, we talk about those days, how much fun, we used to eat falafels every day because they were selling so good.
Sure.
Like three or four or five falafels a day, and they were good, I mean, things like that, eating those $2 hot dogs or whatever, you know, and are you going to the session? I'm like, yeah, which one you going to? There were so many.
Yeah.
Uh, we would
Yeah.
sneak into the Village Gate, try not to get caught, to see Freddie Hubbard or Cedar Walton or Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. And sometimes you could sneak in, sometimes you get caught. Yeah.
Sounds romantic, right? In a way, but it
Yeah.
must have been hard. But it's also like it's something romantic about it when you tell it.
Yeah.
It's
It was beautiful. I mean, geez, I can't even remember when I got my first real apartment of my own with my name on the lease. I slept, we all sleeping on couches,
yeah, yeah.
sleeping with friends and, friends. Yeah, it was fun, The
Mm.
whole thing was sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Was yeah,
Yeah,
hectic.
yeah.
Yeah.
But how did then the Roy Hargrove gig happen for you? Because that was probably the first quite big one for you, right? Or
Yeah, well, I left New York for a couple of years. I
ah,
had to straighten some things out with myself, with my life. And so, I left and got my stuff together. And while I was back home, um, Roy just happened to come into Milwaukee to play with his quintet. And I was doing a gig. And, as Roy, after any gig he plays, he's going to go find somewhere, a jam session, somewhere he could play. So he came to my gig and we talked, and he knew who I was because I lived in New York. And before I left, I did a couple of gigs with Art Blakey and
okay. Well,
Dexter Gordon and a few, my things, everything was starting to rise, but I had to go home to straighten some things out. So Ray came to my gig and he goes, "Hey man, it's Gerald Cannon, I know you." And we talked and I took him to another jam session after my gig and I told him, I'll be back in New York in about 6 months. He said, "Man, call me when you get back." Okay. And so when I came back, I started playing at this place called Bradley's.
oh yeah,
Yeah, in the
sure.
East Village, in the village. And he came in one night. I said, "Hey, bro, you remember me? I'm the guy from Milwaukee." Like, "Yeah, yeah, I remember you." I said, "Well, you told me to call you." They're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, call me, call me." So I just kind of like Then he came in the next week, and I was playing with see who was, I think it was Ronnie Matthews and Idris Muhammad, if I'm
Oh
not
wow, man, beautiful.
one of those kind of gigs, you know. So then he's like, "Hey man, when are you gonna call me?" And so I called him, and 2 weeks later, you know, he called me back and asked me if his manager asked me if I could do a couple gigs, and that was it. You
Mm,
know, and I
yeah,
stayed on that gig for a long time. I loved that. That's probably the best band I ever played in. The
that's with
McCoy.
Sherman and Frank Lacey and those guys, or
Yeah,
yeah, that's a killing group. Yeah,
and Willie Jones
yeah,
and
yeah, that's a
Larry
monster group.
Williams. Wow,
Yeah,
we
Ed
kind of
Cherry was on guitar, right? That one.
who
Ed Cherry was on guitar, right?
the Cherry was part of the Creasol
Oh yeah, yeah.
band,
Okay, yeah,
but he wasn't part of the regular uh quintet or sextet, you know.
yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, I did some of the Creasol stuff too, you know.
yeah, yeah. Because a record came out last year. That's the
Right.
Grande Terre, yeah, which is like from '99 or '98, I think that's right.
Yeah, 98.
'98, yeah.
Forgot about that record, you know.
It's man, whew,
Yeah. I mean,
incredible.
wow. Yeah, that was a great time with Roy. I was just looking at some videos the other day, you know, of us playing in Bern. And I was just thinking like, man, what a great band.
Yeah,
Yeah, we were like a real band. We were brothers and, you know,
so important. Yeah,
challenging each other. Great.
yeah.
And
It's a swinging
yeah,
group also. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
really beautiful. Yeah.
yeah.
When did you start leading bands then, Gerald? I know you did your label Woodneck Records. I checked, and quite early, right?
Yeah.
What's the story behind your label and you becoming a band leader? How did that happen?
Well, my label, you can kind of blame that on Ray Brown, actually. You know, yeah, at the North Sea Jazz Festival one year when I was with Roy, you know, Ray Brown kind of grabbed a bunch of us. We were in the lobby, you know, trying to be cool, and Ray just said, "You guys got your publishing and your blah blah blah, and what about labels? You was thinking about starting your own labels, and you know, nobody had really ever explained that to us, you know, the way he did, and the importance of owning your own masters and
Yeah,
taking control of your, you know, of your documentations, you know." And so me, Sherman Irby, and Willie Jones, we immediately, you know, started our labels
oh yeah, because he also did.
right
Yeah,
there.
Willie also did it. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
WJ3
Yeah,
Records.
yeah, exactly.
You
Yeah.
know, Sherman has his own label. You know, we all went kind of different paths. I particularly um, wanted to start my own label because I wanted to have control of everything, you know, down to the artwork, to
Yeah.
I wanted to mix and master it, people on the musician, I mean on the record, musicians. And you know, plus I didn't feel the need for a middleman, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
because you know, and that was a long time ago. Geez, I can't remember. Maybe 25 years ago when I
yeah.
started, you know,
That's long enough.
under my label. And yeah, I'm happy with it. You know, I have 3 records, all
Yeah,
my
yeah,
records on it, and they all work on. I'm planning my next record soon, and I, you know, I like the whole process of it.
Mm.
You know, the first record,
You enjoy
scary.
being the band leader? I mean, like, did it come
I like being a band
naturally to
leader.
you? Yeah.
Yeah, you know, my dad was he was a band leader with the gospel groups, you
Yeah.
know, and so I learned a lot from him. The way he had a really calm demeanor towards the, you know, people in his gospel quartets and stuff. But he got things done, you know, and he kind of was like a business the way he did things, you
Mm.
know. And I try not to be one of these over nitpicking band leaders
Yeah, yeah.
because I don't like it when I'm a sideman and there's a band leader that just nitpicks and all of that. And so I try to hire people in my band that I don't really have to tell them anything. You know, McCoy Tyner never told me one thing to play
Mm.
14 years. And trust me, The first 2 years, I asked him after every gig, "Hey, is everything am I playing?" You know, he's like, "You're fine." Elvin Jones never told me anything to play.
Wow. Yeah.
He told me to make my quarter notes longer. That's about it. You know, and just because they hired me for who I am,
Yeah.
they wanted to hear who I was every night, even if it was a different Gerald from last night. They wanted to hear that, and I think that's what, it's organic. It's an art form. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
not like classical music where you have to play the exact
Yeah. Yeah.
same.
Exactly.
Mhm.
I agree. Yeah.
So, and I like being a band leader. And I try to, like I said, I just try to get the guys that I know I don't have to say anything to.
Yeah. Yeah. With those bands, I mean, the bands that you have, yeah,
Yeah,
you have some of the best guys. Yeah.
just give them the music, and plus I want to see how they like when I'm a composer.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about the composing. I mean, you have like Three Elders, which is a beautiful tune on the last one, but like on combinations, there's so much beautiful music. And like,
Yeah,
what's your process when writing? I mean,
that's a good question. I have, you know, I have different ways that I do it. Sometimes I sit at the piano and just bang out stuff. I'm not a piano player, horrible at it, but I can put together melodies and figure out the chords. Sometimes I'll just play some bass lines and then I'll think, oh, then I hear the melody to go with the bass line, you know. And sometimes I just really sit down and say, okay, I'm going to write a tune.
mm, yeah,
It's I'm an abstract painter, man. I see everything as kind of in an abstract, within a form
yeah,
kind of way, you know. So I have different methods. Sometimes I write stuff with logic with my computer,
yeah,
with my programs and stuff. Uh, yeah, I don't really have one set way of doing it. I kind of like it like that.
yeah, yeah. It's better. Otherwise, you repeat yourself. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's also better. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you preparing? You said you're gonna prepare a new record. Like, do you have some ideas already, or what it will
Yeah,
be? Or
I do. I do. Yeah, this one, for sure I'm gonna like feature myself more on, maybe I've been writing for it. I have a few tunes.
beautiful.
Um, yeah, more out front. I love being a sideman. I like playing the bass. I like what the whole thing about playing the bass is. I like being in the center of the rhythm section. I love it.
Yeah,
I mean, I like accompaniment. I like adding to the harmony of the chords. I like giving solos or the vocalists options as to which way they want to go with the melody or the improvisation. And I like just connecting with the drummer's ride cymbal, the drums,
yeah,
period.
yeah.
So I have no problem. I'm not trying to, I've never been one to try to be, you know, uh, the bass player that's like, hey, 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 look at me, look at me.
Yeah,
I've never been that kind of bass player. So I've always kind of, um, you know, not that I don't want to say that I'm in the background because I'm not, you
no,
know.
no, I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I like the whole complex and beauty of being a glorified accompanist. I like that, you know. I mean, to me, that's what makes the bass so special because we
Absolutely. Yeah, you're
tap
like the
into,
glue. Yeah, yeah, or yeah,
yeah, you know,
yeah,
we tap into every little thing. So, but and I also like the solo. Don't get me wrong, and I
yeah,
like playing melodies, which is what we do when we're walking bass lines, anyways.
yeah,
Connecting
absolutely,
melodies throughout the whole tune.
absolutely. Yeah,
But in this particular record, I think I'm going to, step forward a little bit more.
that's nice. Yeah, to hear it in that way. Yeah,
Yeah, this time I'm 67 years old. So
beautiful, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
yeah, it's going to be interesting. A little different than the other two. I mean, I think every record should be different anyway. They're the
Absolutely,
same thing.
absolutely. Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
planning on using Billy Hart on drums.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know, and
Fantastic.
uh,
You already played with Billy
yes.
before?
Huh? Oh yeah,
Yeah, you did, right? Yeah.
yeah. I played with Billy. When's the last time we played together? We played together a couple months ago
Okay.
at Michael Cuscana's memorial service, and it was me, Billy Hart, Joe Lovano, and
Beautiful.
Kevin Hayes.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that was fun. But I played with him many times over there. Plus, we teach together, at Oberlin College.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Drum professor, I'm the bass professor. Gary Bartz teaches there. Eddie Henderson teaches there. So
It's a nice,
and we're
nice band.
roommates there. So no, but he's special,
Yeah, yeah. Oh man. I mean,
really hard. I mean, what more do I need to say? So
and
yeah,
Dave on piano, Kikoski, or
yeah,
is that how
yeah,
beautiful? Yeah, you go way
yeah,
back. Yeah, I
yeah.
love those trios. The trio with Ralph you had Peterson.
Right,
That was
right.
that
Oh
was a
yeah,
burning trio, man.
yeah.
Like,
That's an old CD. Triangular 3, I think it's
yeah, yeah,
called.
exactly. I was like, I have it on CD. It's like
Hmm.
25 years or 26 years old already,
Wow.
but it's killing. It's just like
Yeah,
killing trio. Nice.
yeah. So, anyways, that's the plan. We'll see. Things could change. You never know.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah,
Gerald, I wanted to ask you one more thing since I have you here. I'm a guitarist, so I was a huge fan of Russell Malone, and he sadly
yeah.
passed away. Like, what was your story with Russell? How did you hook up with him, man?
Oh, me and Russell go back geez, I remember his first week or two in New York.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
yeah. I was in the after hours band at the Blue Note. And I don't know how long he had been, but he hadn't been in New York that long. And he came in to sit in. And man, when he sat down and played the guitar, I was playing bass. I was like, whoa, who's this guy? Because New York, there's new people coming in.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, geez, how many times have I said, who is this guy? Like, and yeah, so we go way back. And I was in Russell's band for a little while.
Yeah.
We've done ton of gigs together, and he's on not this record, but he's on the record
Yeah, yeah,
before.
before. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Combination.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm on, yeah, one
On
or
Kiss,
two.
yeah, look who's here. Yeah, I think on that one, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now that was my brother, man. Hey, yeah, that was a tough one when he passed.
Yeah, I was
Um,
shocked also, man. I've been such a huge fan. I transcribed like that record, Sweet Georgia Peach.
yeah,
I remember I bought that and I transcribed every solo by him, like it was so
right.
good, so swinging yet modern and
Yeah.
like such a
And
pleasure.
Russell, I mean, nobody plays intros like Russell Malone.
Mm,
I mean, he's just, yeah, he's just so creative. That was the rough one. I miss my brother, man. We talked a lot on the phone.
mm.
Russell was hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
He was a funny guy and just good people, man.
Yeah.
Great guitars.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, one of the greatest.
Yeah, one
Absolutely.
of the greatest for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. In this
Yeah,
tradition, I mean, yeah. Fantastic.
yeah, yeah. It's sad, man. You know, it's like when you get to be around like greatness, like Russell, McCoy, or Elvin,
Mm.
and you're around them a lot. When they're gone, it leaves there's a big gap, you know, um, and but the memories and the recordings
The
and
music is there, yeah. Yeah.
it's still there, and plus they're still here.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
that's the way I look at it, at least.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, no,
Yeah,
you put on a record and you're still like, man,
yeah,
this music is forever alive. It's so good.
right.
The
I mean,
culture
Roy
of it,
Hargrove's
yeah.
record, Moment to Moment. Do you know that
Yeah,
record?
yeah, yeah. I have every record with it. Yeah.
That's is one of my favorite records, not because I'm on it, but just because of the ballad playing of Roy Hargrove
Mm. Yeah.
and the flugelhorn and just, uh, and with the orchestra. I mean, nothing could shake this guy. pretty much like any great musician, nothing really shakes him. Russell either. You can really shake this
No,
guy.
no, absolutely. Yeah.
You know, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to put these records on. Like I listened to Russell today, just like I don't
mm,
know why. Maybe because I knew I was gonna talk to you as well, and I was like, man, this is so good, you know.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
beautiful,
yeah.
beautiful.
He had a thing, man. Man, the way he could do I don't know what you call him, not a guitarist, even though my dad was. I kind of was rebelling against guitar when I was a kid, but the way he could do the finger picking
Yeah,
and
yeah,
tap, and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it was always spot on.
yeah,
You Yeah,
yeah. Great guitarist. Yeah.
yeah.
Otherwise, Gerald, do you have some plans of coming to Europe this year, or what are your plans for this year? I mean, project-wise, or touring-wise, or gig-wise, or
Yeah, I'm going to Italy, I think it is next month.
oh,
I
really?
go
Oh, wow.
every summer
Sure.
and I play a lot over there. I'm playing in Spain and yeah, a few gigs in Italy and I have a tour coming up with Gary Bartz.
Oh,
I
wow.
think in 2 or 3 weeks. We're playing in Seattle and here in the States and
Fantastic.
the other thing I'm playing with Lou Hayes
Oh,
from
wow.
yeah,
Woo. He's
yeah. I
still
took with
he's
him
still
a
playing
month ago.
amazing, right?
Oh
He did
man.
a record last year, I think, or
Oh, Jesus.
yeah.
I just was it 2 months ago at Minton's, right down the street from my house for a weekend. And
Ooh.
man, Jesus, you know, just so much fun to just get into that Lou Hayes vibe.
Oh man, I mean,
Yeah, you know,
another one of the greats. Yeah.
I'm playing at Birdland with Billy Hart, Joe Lovano, Leo Genovese, and George Garzon.
Wow, that's a
A
band.
couple weeks. Yeah,
Wow.
for a week. Yeah.
Ooh,
So
okay.
we're playing, keeping busy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
just enough. I mean, I'm teaching at two schools. I'm at Oberlin College and at Juilliard, and so school's almost out.
Yeah, and
And
then
yeah, time to work.
gigs and what fantastic. I'm really looking forward to the new record, by the way. So
Yeah, yeah. I'll let you know. I'll
yeah,
definitely let you know.
send me a
Um,
link.
yeah,
And
definitely.
if you're close to ever in north of Italy, let me know. I mean, I'm in Slovenia, which is like from Trieste, 2 hours away.
Ah, okay.
So if you know,
Yeah, I will because I sometimes I get to like Milano,
yeah.
in that area. Yeah, I'll let you know
Well,
for
let me
sure.
know, and we can get together for lunch or dinner
For
or
coffee.
whatever. So for coffee, yeah. I mean, where can you get better coffee or best pizza? Like in some shitty plastic place in Italy, wherever, and it's like the best,
Exactly.
man. Yeah,
Exactly.
but yeah,
Yeah, man.
super.
Yeah.
Gerald, thank you so much for sharing some of these thoughts, and
Oh, sure. Thank you
really,
for having me.
really
You know,
appreciate it. Really appreciate
yeah,
it.
and we'll definitely keep in touch.
Yeah, please, and I'll send you a link when this is out, and we can then share it and everything. So,
Beautiful, because my wife is asking me, "Hey, can I watch it now?" And I'm like, "I don't think so.
not yet, no,
Not yet."
not yet.